Well, hello to all guests. Well, my name is Purashat Charanwalapan, a project coordinator of the WBF Thailand Country Office, and it's an honor to be here today as your host. But while we're waiting for more participants to join us, let me explain you a little bit about the week event. Well, its official name is the World Business Angel Investor Week 2021, and the World Business Angel Investors agreed on theme of business diplomacy for international entrepreneurship for this year. And the week event is playing host to 72 countries starting from October 18th to 24th, and Thailand section is held today paralleling with other Asian countries starting from 10 a.m. to 12:20 Greenwich Mean Time, or in Thailand it's 5 p.m. Well, the purpose of the week is to be a great platform where stakeholders and participants to take their fast-paced journey along the week and know better about how business diplomacy can be used as a tool to significantly increase angel investment and to encourage more cooperation with other key players in the early stage equity markets. Our Thailand section will deliver you two roundtables from those key players who will be discussing about our startup post-pandemic landscape and some of the features that they have for startups and angel investors, both local and international. But before that, you will hear an open speech from Khun Suvipa Wannasatop, the country chair of the WBF Thailand Country Office and the vice president of NASTA, followed by 3 keynote speech from the CEO of the WBAF and the government sector and the entrepreneurial point of view. Now, I think it's time to begin our section. So everyone, please welcome Khun Suvipa to the stage with us. Good afternoon, ค่ะ คุณ Suvipa
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
ค่ะ
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to welcome all of you to the World Business Angel Investor Week 2021. This event is co-organized for the first time ever by the WBAF, together with its partner from 72 countries around the world. We all celebrate by organizing activities to promote entrepreneurs during the same week. Please be invited to join this worldwide event and listen to the 400 speakers via online. Even after this week, I believe you can still get on into the website worldwidewebangelsweek.org or contact Khun Purashat, our MC, for the link. It is indeed a challenging time for any countries during the post-pandemic economic recovery. Even the smallest company and organization face an urgency in transforming their business in order to cope with the dynamics of the next normal business environment. While firms in many sectors are suffering financially and business transformation is not a cheap process, smart policy that provide financial support to startups, scale-ups, SME and all entrepreneurs, and more public-private partnership should be mobilized in our country so that all the entrepreneurs' business transformation effort can be achieved. In addition, startup economy can definitely be one of the key for our economic recovery, since investment in the innovative startup can be major source of foreign direct investment for a nation. Every round of its fundraising draws in not only domestic but also foreign investment. One unicorn draw in $1 billion investment, and most of the time the fund is from FDI. Certainly, successful innovation-driven and deep tech SME and startup are the future of our economies and definitely our promising engine of growth. Angel investment here can be leveraged as a must-have financial tools for boosting economies and to create more jobs, more wealth, and more social justice Professional angel investor can bring in not only funding, but also fruitful advices, business, wisdom, and connection. Angel investor can be the right partner for entrepreneurs, especially the deep tech startups. According to the World Business Angel Forum, in the US and Europe, where business angel network have already been matured, according to the figure in 2018, the investment from the business angel investor in Europe rose to about 7.5 billion euro, and in the US rose to 23 billion US dollars. So far, during the past 5 years, our National Innovation Agency, or NIA, has orchestrated all the startup activities and supporting mechanisms from all public and private partners to grow startup communities, to enhance startup competitiveness and growth, to raise next generation entrepreneurs and tech talents, and to stimulate investment in startups. These efforts place Thailand on the promising startup nation in the world. We also set up the World Business Angel Investment Forum Thailand country office to connect to a global network to ease access to finance for business from startup to scale up and to exit. We are the first country office of WBAF in Asia, and it allows Thailand to exploit more of angel investor capability as a smart financial tool, which can enrich Thai entrepreneurial ecosystem. Angel investor and professional angel investment institutions like Thailand Business Angel Network, or TBAN, can definitely foster exponential growth in investment in the Thailand startups. With the support from NIA, DPA, the Stock Exchange of Thailand, TCL, and private investors who sit as the board of WBAF Thailand, we successfully built up a network of qualified angel investors with the QBAC Plus proficiency who are ready to invest in potential startups all over Thailand. WBAF Thailand country office has an open door for international investors and actively invite more angel investors to the community. So please join us in the growth of the Thai startup ecosystem. I would like to end here by showing our great appreciation to Mr. Baibas Atutas, our global chair, and all the organizing committee, and also to the Professor Dr. Siri Rerk Song Sivilai, our permanent secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation. Also, Kun Jalat Pak Kan Pumjit from Fratch Express, our proud Thailand first unicorn, and all esteemed speakers who kindly give us the honor to share their vision and thought in driving forward the startup and angel investor ecosystem in the country. Also, special thanks to the valuable friends like NIA, TBAN, TechSource, and many more, as well as to our team member. And most important of all, to all the participants who joined us today, even it is late in the afternoon and on the holiday in Thailand. Thank you for contributing to the success of Thailand World Business Angel Investor Week 2021 ขอบคุณ and สวัสดีค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you, Kun Suvipa, for the warm welcome speech. And it's a great pleasure to have 3 more remarkable guests from diverse areas in our entrepreneurial ecosystem. But first, you will hear a keynote speech from Mr. Baibas Atutas, the Executive Chairman of the World Business Angel Investment Forum, and also he will address the reason behind the global theme of the business diplomacy as well. So now everyone, please join me in welcoming Mr. Baibas Atutas.
Dear presidents, dear ministers, dear distinguished keynote speakers, dear moderators, dear speakers of roundtables, dear participants. Welcome to the World Business Angel Investors Week, and welcome to the Angel Investors flagship events in the world. World Business Angel Investors Week is a great platform where all stakeholders come together to assess their fast-paced journey, to analyze why and how we should leverage angel investment as a must-have financial tool for boosting economies. We are going to reiterate how entrepreneurial ecosystems can create more jobs, more wealth, and more social justice in cooperation with key players of early stage equity markets. During the World Business Angel Investors Week, we are going to create a unique opportunity to showcase fresh and innovative ideas that inspire current and future leaders of the world to take risks on new ideas, collaborate across sectors, and transform world economies through the scaling of entrepreneurship, angel investment, financial inclusion, and innovation. This week-long event is an open platform for connecting, learning, sharing, and exchanging know-how that promotes entrepreneurship and angel investment ecosystems. This is a great platform from which to campaign for solutions to critical issues of early stage equity and capital markets and other worldwide concerns at the United Nations, the European Union, and G20 countries level. As an affiliated partner of the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, GPFI, the World Business Angel Investors Investment Forum is proud of organizing all events of the week globally. We are going to have 156 keynote speakers, 138 roundtables, with 325 speakers from 128 countries until next Sunday. 72 countries are celebrating this week until next Sunday. And I'm sure all participants from Europe, Asia, Africa, North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and MENA region will find a rewarding experience by joining and following the events until the end of this week. I want to thank so much to all country chairs and continental chairs for their efforts to make all these happen. I want to highlight an important detail of this week. The detail is this week is now celebrated under one global topic: international diplomacy and business diplomacy for international entrepreneurship. Why we wanted to come together under this global topic this year? Mr. COVID alerted all entrepreneurial ecosystem about the importance of business diplomacy for startups, scale-ups, and entrepreneurs and SMEs. We are inviting all governments to consider including more financial support in their recovery plans against COVID-19 for entrepreneurs and for SMEs and for startups, because entrepreneurs of today need more support to be ready for post-pandemic times. Why? Because they are suffering. They are suffering financially. And governments should start immediately considering the importance of financial support for startups, because they are creating new jobs, they are creating new wealth, and they are contributing to social justice. So the WBAF board decided to invite all stakeholders under this global theme and invite all policymakers to take this important issue into consideration. Without financial support, entrepreneurs will not be able to transform their businesses digitally. Business transformation and digital transformation are two key words for entrepreneurs of today. If they cannot succeed, if they cannot achieve transforming their businesses digitally, they are going to suffer more in the future, which means governments will suffer too, because these entrepreneurs will not be able to create more jobs in post-pandemic times. We are going to host 80,000 participants this year from almost all continents. And it is a great pleasure for me to see all global stakeholders of the WBIF came together to really support entrepreneurs and startups. All events this year and always will be free for everybody who want to join our global efforts in this week. I am sure you are going to find a rewarding experience by joining this week's events. And special thanks are going to all country chairs and continental chairs who made all these things happen. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beybasatantas, for addressing the importance of the digital transformation and the business transformation in our ecosystem. But then, now we will have the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, Professor Sirirek Songsivilai, to give us a keynote speech as a perspective from government sectors in the topic of Thailand agenda to drive deep tech entrepreneurs in new growth engine of the nation. Please welcome Professor Sirirek Songsivilai to the stage with us.
Distinguished guests, it's a pleasure and honor for me to be here at the opening of the World Business Angel Investors Week 2021 to deliver a speech on Thailand agenda to drive deep tech entrepreneur, a new growth engine of the nation. First, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the World Business Angel Investor Week's organizing committees for hosting this event as a platform where all stakeholders pause to access their fast-paced journey to analyze why and how we should leverage angel investments as a must-have financial tools for boosting economies and to reiterate how entrepreneurial ecosystems can create more jobs, more wealth, and more social justice in cooperation with key players in the early stage equity markets. I would like to give examples and to put more importance on the situation of Thailand today in order to let us understand how the situations and how the deep tech entrepreneurs and angel investments is important in our situation today. As I'm speaking, my country, Thailand, is in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. The situation is getting better on the day-to-day and on the week-to-week basis. And we have light at the end of the tunnel, and we will see that the opportunities will be very bright, where we will soon recover from this pandemic. I think that this situation is more or less similar to other countries in the world. The COVID-19 pandemic is the major disruption. It has an impact both socially and economically not just only the health and the medical problems, but the main issues is the economic impact and the societal impact. COVID-19 is a major threat and is something that is very difficult that we think that such important crisis will occur one day. It's also shed light and it's the great opportunities that we will see that technologies have played roles and will play much bigger roles in our recoveries and also set the new standards for years to come. As the technologies entrepreneur and as angel investors, we should see this as a major opportunities where we can put all our efforts to solve these problems. During the COVID-19, we have seen that major technologies in the world have improved steadily. Some of the vaccine companies that provide the tools that we use to control the pandemic. Many of the small companies and early stage companies and the technologies developers, for example, developers of new diagnostics, developers of the new medical device and many control tools start from the basic knowledge and quickly see these opportunities and put their technologies to work. And these are examples of how technologies has, within less than 2 years, has transformed the situation. In Thailand, over the past a year and a half, we have seen a number of high technologies have been developed and used for the control of COVID-19 pandemics. For example, a new and very effective diagnostics, new medical devices for the personal protection, PAPR, which is the positive pressures devices, a helmet that allow medical personnel to work safely with the patients with COVID-19. We have seen that for Thailand, we have startup companies and startup groups and the collaboration between academies and the private sectors to develop vaccines. This is an example. We learn from this situation and have put deep technologies as one of the key issues that within a few years will help Thailand as well as other nations to fully recover from the COVID-19, not only in terms of medicines, in terms of vaccines, but also a number of other areas as well. The new world, the world in the next decade, will see the post-COVID recovery phase. And we also have the good opportunities where we can move forward with this situation. Thailand has adopted the 20-year national strategy as a framework to lead the countries towards a secure nation with happy citizens, steady economic growth, social justice, and sustainable use of natural resources. This is the country's national long-term strategy to ensure continuity of the development policies. Therefore, various sectors has to implement plans in order to achieve concrete results under a shared goal. The framework will also looking at how to address the critical needs of technology and innovation promotion in order to ensure that Thailand can commercialize technologies and innovation which result in economic value chain creation for industrial and service sectors and lead to better quality of life for Thai people. The Thai government, in collaboration with a number of agencies, for example, the National Science Technology Development Agency, NSTDA, is committed to drive and platform research of development to encourage R&D funds in all sectors. This is also to develop a healthy innovation ecosystem, cooperates with academia and partners in applying technologies and innovation to the area-based development, drive the economies, what we term BCG, which is bio, circular, and green economies, and increase corporate change agility. In affiliation with the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research, and Innovation, which aim to create opportunities and changes to bring about better quality of life to the Thai people, as well as operate a dynamic system that utilize knowledge, human capitals, technology, and innovation to achieve economic growth and sustainable development. The agency NSTDA play a major role in intellectual property rights in Thailand, who own one of the most IP rights by publishing a number of research articles and apply for IP. In the second part of my address, I need to highlight on the collaboration between tech entrepreneur, which large enterprise, multinational companies, and the public and state enterprises. Partnerships between a startup, high-tech companies with the large enterprise which have the better understanding of the market will go hand in hand to help both sectors moving forward. Partnerships between players in the ecosystem, which include entities in the private and the public sectors, are essential for developing deep tech and innovation-based economy. Collaboration with the government agencies and industry also support the utilization of research innovation for social and economic benefit and enable technological self-reliance. For example, we have 5 innovations developed under the partnership with private enterprises that have been released for commercial use. For example, real-time production monitoring systems in factory, an overhead crane control system, a flying robot for the solar panel inspection in solar cell, and automated closed agriculture systems for CBUS and battery packs and charger technology for defense applications. The examples I gave to you for the work on international collaboration, which include facilitating researchers to obtain international grants and exchange joint research program with foreign partners in order to raise profile internationally. I also want to mention that the competitiveness enhancement is also a key role for the Thai government to foster technology entrepreneur. We aim at enhancing the competitiveness of Thai businesses and industry to research and development program, upskilling program for industrial workforce, and knowledge and technology transfer programs to supply innovative technologies and solutions to enterprise and industry. Distinguished guests, as I mentioned earlier, I gave you examples of how Thailand create linkage between this initiative under the events to reboot and to kick off to the next phase of economic expansion in addition to the recovery from the COVID-19. However, government's initiatives are only part of the solution. The collaboration amongst entrepreneurs together with investors, especially for the early stage and high technology company, several forms of investments will be crucial. And the angel investments is also one of the key roles, and it is within the culture for Thailand technology system. Therefore, I really would like to encourage the different stakeholders, including private sector, academic institutions, to work closely with Thailand and all countries around the world, especially the 75 countries participating in these virtual global events, in pursuing some of these strategies in order to facilitate and collaborate across sectors for recovery from this pandemic. In this regard, I'm glad that the world business angel investors share the same commitment to technology and innovation development in order to transform national and world economy. With these words, let me once again congratulate the world business angel investors for launching today's events, and indeed for the great successful platform for entrepreneurs and for investors to provide early stage funds and capitals for our technology champions. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the speech from the Professor Sivirat Songsivilai. And then we will have a very well-known enterprise, the Flash Express, the first unicorn of Thailand, to give us another keynote speech from an entrepreneurial point of view, delivered by Kun Charatpak Kanplimjit, who will also be sharing with us the journey to become the first unicorn and some tips from their key success factors. Let's welcome Kun Charatpak with us to the stage, please.
Sawadee ka. This is a traditional Thai greeting from Bangkok, the capital city of Thailand, to all investor, entrepreneur, and audience of World Business Angel Investor Week 2021. My name is Charatpak Kanplimjit, and I'm currently the People Group Partner at Flash Group, a parent company of Flash Express, Thailand's first unicorn startup and the undisputed #1 express delivery service in Thailand. Flash Express itself started with an annual growth rate of 6,000% for 2 consecutive years. Even in this pandemic and COVID time, Flash Group grew up to 700% in the first quarter. So the group offering total e-commerce solution, aiming to uplift the whole e-commerce market in Southeast Asia in 2024. With regards to Flash being a unicorn, so my keynote speech today will be mainly focused on the journey become the first unicorn. So this is such a great honor to share this with you on behalf of the Group CEO, Mr. Komsan Lee, who has been recognized by his unique paradigms and his own varieties of business experiences. He dared to fail fast and learn quick on turning failure to be many unusual successes since he's young. And now operating as the Group CEO. He leads around 10 business units under Flash Group at the tender age of 30. So let's begin with the question, what does the logo thunder and lightning means to you? Fast, speedy, or quick? Most people will presume, but in fact, thunder comes with storm and heavy rains. This is our story of how Flash Group were formed with lots of obstacles, such as we stepping into many pitfalls and overcoming battle against people of all sorts. However, Mr. Komsan's strong wills always guide us to the foreseeable finish line after overcoming many rejections. And just to mention, this is just a few issues. By the way, those hardships help building us into one-of-a-kind company that, as a tangible result, we can see has emerged as the first unicorn startup in Thailand. I'm sure that all of you already know what unicorn is in terms of startup business. And of course, everyone knows that being a startup company is not that easy. So we choose to invest heavily in technology infrastructure to enhance speed and operational efficiencies, besides understanding market trends and customer needs. So we dare to provide something that very new, never happened before, something different that gives brand new solution to customers. In the meantime, you have to forget about the concept of work-life balance. We work 365 days a year. So every day is Monday, and there's no way to avoid strong resistance and noise around us. At Flash, the key to survive is so simple. You just trust in yourself, trust in your team, and be certain with your ultimate goal. And we might not have come this far if we started earlier or later. I would say that we are really lucky that we start Flash Group at the right time when market is there. But there's only half done. The other half done is a differentiate strategy that minimizes the gap that is left blank, leaving a competitor unaware. You might wonder what makes us different, what really makes us stand out. That is, we have different work ethic than most traditional Thai companies. We call ourselves Flasher, who are fighter, work well with pressure, and be able to express a different point of view regardless of any position, and be flexible and be brave to fail. So around 3 years from beginning of the remarkable journey, being unicorn is not an ultimate goal. We're nowhere near the conclusion with our vision yet. So we keep upgrading our technology and service qualities to provide the best e-commerce experience to our customer. The most crucial part actually is the beginning part and the struggling time that we had before today. But let me share a few small tips that you can apply into your own startup business. Just something my group CEO has done for extra miles. Firstly, you can see angel investors almost everywhere. They mostly are wealthy people who want to support high potential startups in exchange for a return, of course. And you just got to find them lurking around in your local community. Once you find them, practice before you go and pitch to either angel investor or venture capitalist. My group CEO had did a lot of research to know investor in depth to make sure that he has prepared an incredible story that touched the investor preference, and in short, just talk their language. Secondly, he would prepare 3 types of pitching speeches. Firstly is a fantastic elevator pitch that only lasts 3 to 5 minutes. And second one is 10 to 15 minutes. Lastly, we have the quite a big pack, less than 1 hour, because he knows that there is no one size fit all to pitching, and investor has different available time and mood. And lastly, you may need to grab all opportunities that comes around. My group CEO spent over 60 meetings with investors when he was at the beginning of the fundraising period. It took tremendous energy, but he can make every meeting fresh just like the first meeting. The secret is simple. Just all in what you do and believe in what you say, and that's the beginning of the trust. I hope we will see many more unicorns in Thailand, especially in Asian countries, popping up year by year. Running startup, the key success factors are you need a determined leader, quality team member, right opportunities and right time. Especially you need to know your investors. Hope you're successful in this startup path. Good luck and be brave to fail.
Thank you คุณจรัสพัฒน์ การปลื้มจิต for a very fascinating speech, and also all the remarkable keynote speakers as leaders from diverse areas in our ecosystem to share the points of view and help raise the awareness of the importance of the startup entrepreneur, the tech startup entrepreneur, and angel investment in Thailand at this global stage. And now let me briefly introduce you what you will soon be hearing today from the two roundtables. They will ease your way to a better understanding about how the post-pandemic of Thailand startup ecosystem would look like and how angel community could perfectly fit in the gap in the Thailand early stage equity market. So these two panels will be delivered to you by the people who play a major role and devote a great deal of time and energy into this ecosystem. They are from government sectors, startups community, venture capitals, and angel investor communities. So they have many experiences in bringing out the best of Startup Thailand and help them grow to reach the sustainability in the business world. So for the first roundtable, we have Kun Pariwat Wong Samran, the Director of Entrepreneur and Enterprise, Director of Startup Thailand at National Innovation Agency, and Kun Saran Sutanti Warakun from Thai Venture Capital Association, Kun Pataraporn Posuwan from Thai Startup Trade Association, Kun Sripan Yongwattananan from the Board of Investment Thailand. Now it's time for me to hand the session over to Kun Pariwat, the moderator of the first roundtable, with the topic of the change of startup ecosystem landscape after COVID-19 pandemic. Kun Pariwat, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
สวัสดีครับ
And thank you very much for Kun Rachat about the introduction our session. This session as we're going to talk about the change of the startup ecosystem landscape after COVID-19 pandemic, right? But before we will talk about the after COVID-19, I would like to update the situation from last year until today. We have more like investor, a startup, and the government that would support the startup ecosystem as well. So I would like to start from the Mr. Saran. Can you please explain about the situation from the last year until today that investor thinks about the investment in startup in Thailand?
Okay, sure. So before that, let me give you some context of the history so we can see the present also. I think for the past 6 years, the ecosystem in terms of fundings into startup in Thailand has been growing steadily. The peak was in 2020. Well, the peak was then because that year we had a short period during COVID, and there was a mega deal in which you guys probably have heard of, that when Flash became a unicorn, it made the startup ecosystem in terms of funding just the peak that year. This year has been slightly a slowdown in terms of investment landscape, and there has been quite a significant change into investment decision also. So in the past 5 or 6 years, in the earlier years, you may notice a lot of seed fundings and a lot of angel investment funding were being poured into startups. But for the past a couple of years, a lot of things have changed, especially in this year. So this year, what we noticed is that in the younger startup, in the younger stage, especially the pre-seed to seed, has been quite relatively starved of fundings relative to the past. And the investment in terms of Series A, Series B, and the bigger round has been increased both in sizing and frequencies. So I think what happened is investor preference, especially one of the driver of this situation is the amount of money being poured into the whole financial system. So what happened is in order to prevent like economic collapse from COVID, right? All the government in the world, they start pumping out money into the financial system, and some of the money definitely has to go into VCs. It goes to the stock market, it goes to everything else, also it goes to VC, cryptocurrency, so on. So when the money go into VC, what happened is most VC fund size get bigger because nobody want to raise small fund anymore. So when the fund size get bigger, you don't want to invest into a smaller companies because your fund size is a lot bigger. You want to invest in a more mature companies. Also, in general, it's also easier for VC to manage bigger companies in terms of risk management and in terms of return management. Because for smaller companies, a lot of involvement of VC has been done with the company for them to grow. But for a more mature company, it takes less involvement and also money can be deployed more effectively. So I think that's the main thing that happened in the system, in the ecosystem in the past couple of years.
Okay, interesting. Because even we think that about the COVID-19, the investment quite slow down, but exactly we have the bigger the fund size from the injection from the government and the other, right? And from the Series A and Series B might we see get in investment more and more in the later years. Actually, it happened in this year, have already. Right? Okay.
Happened already.
Okay, so in the point of view of the startup itself, I would like to ask Khun Thanaporn about what's happened in the last year until this year for the startup itself.
Yep. Yeah, I think from the view of the startup itself, since the COVID-19 impact has impacted the whole country, and I think a lot of the things that we see is the pivot of a lot of the startups. So many of the Thai top startups who are in relating to travel tech, event tech, entertainment tech, all these startups are being forced to pivot to other kind of business. We also see a lot of about to grow startup being kind of like shut down because of the slowdown in the economic and the demand for the consumer. So I think much of the affected market are already pivoting or already has pivot. Some also has already hibernated or closed down with reaction to the COVID-19 impact. But as some industries are really fastly growing, like fintech, logistics. So what really actually happened to Thailand is the consumer and the businesses who requiring to use technology and digital solution has really changed their point of view in terms of these kind of services. Before, Thai companies wouldn't be able to survive without face-to-face meeting. But today, most of the Thai companies, even large ones, are already running almost 100% in remote only. So I think what has really changed is the entire digital landscape of the Thai tech industry, where a lot of businesses are looking for more tools that are that will enable their digital transformation. A lot of big enterprises are actually leveraging these kind of changes to grow more. And in the past, I think worldwide, a lot of, especially within the startup community, many of the startup companies are almost 100% remote. If we look at companies like in Silicon Valley or in the more higher or bigger market, they are already working in the remote workspace, right? But I think for the Thai startup, this hasn't always been the case, and I think what has changed is also the way of working for startups. So we are actually transforming, from a everyone in the same office kind of startup to a more international, westernized or internationalized kind of way of work, which I think this would really help push the potential of Thai startups from not only being great creators of technology, but also moving into a more great way of working. And this would also allow, I think much of the past we have seen that it's difficult for Thai startup to scale regionally to expand outside of Thailand. I think this is something that's already being changed within the startup community mindset. I think apart from that, we see a lot of opportunity with B2G selling solution to government. So government is also looking for solution that can help the government run in the new digital landscape. So I think a lot of the startups in the community has already been working with the government, and a lot more opportunities have opened up for startups to work.
Okay, thank you very much. It's quite very interesting because actually in Thailand we really go about the travel tech sector, right? But when we face the COVID-19, this sector is quite tough and difficult for the run the startup right now. Many of them is going to be closed and maybe have to pivot business model right now. And actually, it's a good thing that we have the digital transformation, that the startup have to change mindset, and they have to like the change behavior for operate the business, have the 100% remotely, right? And I quite interesting about the B2G business to government, because the government market is quite large, and it's going to be the huge benefit for the startup to get a benefit right now. From this point, I would like to ask Mr. Siripan about the government side. Actually, BOI have many programs to support the foreign investor and the startup. I would like you update about the situation right now and what happened in the past years until today.
Okay. So from BOI, before talking about BOI, just want to mention that as you might know, so our countries like we are like focusing on startups very much, because we hope and we believe that startup would be the new engine of growth of our economy. So I think many both the private and public sectors are focusing on and working on so hard on building and improving the ecosystem of the startup, and also BOI is a part of that building ecosystem also. So talking about BOI, so what we did, and we are currently working on it. So currently BOI is try to promote the investment in Thailand, not just only the startup, but for all, like both MNC, local company, and also startup. So what we do is we try to improve, we try to promote the investment through our tools or measures. Let me explain easily if through the journey of the startup. So before you I call it's from the scratch to start. So it means when you are startup, you might start from your idea, right? When you start your idea, you will think, oh, what will you do for the startup business? But finally, after you get some idea and you decide to invest in Thailand, that is how BOI work start from that time. So to start the business in Thailand, first thing you have to think about is about visa, right? You have to come here to Thailand to see the opportunity, or to see the opportunity to start your business here. What we can offer to you is like what we call smart visa. Smart visa is the special type of visa that designed for attracting the talent, the investor, entrepreneurs, and also executive, and including startup, to in the technology or innovation industry to invest here in Thailand. The special things of this visa is you don't have to get the work permit. So it means this visa already include work permit for you. So it means if you get this visa, you come to Thailand, and so you can start working here from the day one that after you get that visa. The second one, so you do not need to get the re-entry permit. It means you can come and go back to your country and come and again without the re-entry permit. And the length of this visa is the maximum is 4 years. So it means you can stay a bit longer compared to the normal visa. And the last privilege is to extend the time that you have to report to the immigrations from 90 days to a year. So it means if you reduce your waste time to report to the immigrations, that is the privilege of the smart visa. So the smart visa is divided into like 4 types. So major types, the smart T is for the talent or high skilled workers or the researcher that works in the field of technology or innovations. The smart I is for the investor. We call the smart I is for the investor who plan or who invest individually or invest through the venture capital in the technology or the innovation business, and also invest in the startups. And the smart E is for smart for the executives. So it means the executive who works in startups or in the technology firms or in the innovation firm can get this smart E. And finally is smart S or smart visa for startup. So this is designed for the startup who plan to have the startup business here in Thailand. So for these 4 types of visa, I think maybe I will talk about the smart I for investor, especially for angel investor here, and also smart S for startup or entrepreneur who will be here in Thailand. For the smart I, the requirement is quite not so difficult because you just need to invest in startup. Just only like the number is around like only 150,000 US dollar in startup. So it's quite easy. I think it's not so high. And also for the smart S, S for startup, you just at least if you have a plan to start the startup business here in Thailand, you can get the 6-month visa. And after that, if you join the incubation program or accelerator program that qualify, so you can get 1 year. And if you start your business or startup business here in Thailand, you will get maximum to 2 years and it can renew. So this is what we design for you in order to facilitate you to start your business here in Thailand. And after you decide to start business or you are ready to start your business here, BOI have the investment incentive that can support you to do the business in Thailand. First, what you can get from BOI, I separate into like 2 types of incentives. The first one is the non-tax incentive. Why we call the non-tax? Non-tax is not about the tax. It means the privilege or the incentive that you will get if you get the BOI promotion. First of all, you can own the 100% foreign ownership in your company. Normally in Thailand, if you are foreigners and you want to own your business, you have to get the license from the DBD or the Department of Business Development. It's called FBL or Foreign Business License. But if you get BOI promotion, so you will automatically get what we call the FBC or the Foreign Business Certificate. That means you are allowed as a foreigner to do the business in Thailand. And the second one, you can hire the foreign talents or the foreign workers without any restriction from the Ministry of Labor or the immigrations. Normally, if you want to hire one foreign expat, you need at least to hire like 4 Thai employees, or maybe you need the 2 million baht registered capital to hire just only one expat. But if you get BOI, you can waive this restriction. BOI will consider case by case whether approve or not approve that foreign expat. So it means it will reduce your cost to do the business in Thailand. The third one, in the important case, you can be allowed to own the land in order to do the business in Thailand. So in some cases that you need to own the land, so BOI can allow you to have your own land. Normally in Thailand, the foreigners cannot own the land by themselves. And so this is the incentive. This is what we call for non-tax incentive. But for the tax side, so if you get BOI, you can get the maximum up to 13 years of the tax exemptions, depends on your business. So it means you can reduce your business operation cost, reduce the tax payment because we expect that we can nurture or we can groom you for a while to make you a bit stronger in order to get into the market. And also you can get the the import duty exemption on the machinery and equipment that you need to bring to do your business here. And also you might get some import duty on the goods that you imported for R&D activities. I think that is all that BOI can provide or can support the business, especially for the investors and also for the startup business that want to locate here in Thailand. And just want to update that I think the total number of the smart visa that we already approved from 2018 until around last month is around like 800 people that get approved for the smart visa, and around 500 is the startup. So it means it's the criteria is not so quite difficult, and the NIA will be our partner to be the partner to consider or approve or screen the application also. So I think that's all for BOI.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sulapan, about the privilege and benefit for the BOI. Actually, it's quite good for the foreign startup. Actually, it's not startup, also the investor as well, because the smart visa also extend for the investor smart eye. I would like to say and would like to add about smart visa because NIA also the one who screen and endorsement for the smart visa. Actually, during the last year pandemic for the COVID-19, the numbers of the application is not dropped. It's increased. It's quite much, very much as well. And actually, because many are the foreign startup, they would like to figure out the ecosystem that might nurture and help them to establish the company here. Actually, the last year is about, and you mentioned about the startup itself, about 800 the startup apply and get the approval. I think that it's gonna be good momentum for the foreign startup mixed together with the Thai startup. We can create the international ecosystem as well. So we would like to looking for more about next year, maybe after COVID-19. Actually, we not yet know when it's gonna be after or the post COVID-19, but I would like to talk about next year, start from the 2022. I would like to know about the movement or maybe the point of view of investor. What's going to happen or what's going to be the trend for the investment in Thailand and or maybe the Southeast Asia? Can Mr. Solan can be give us this information this one?
Of course. So let's go with Thailand specifically first. I think the current trend would continue. I would think what happened is the younger startup would need a longer period of bootstrapping before they receive funding. Things can happen. But once they receive funding, the amount of funding they receive will be a lot bigger than the past. The ticket size for early stage in the past, maybe like 10 million baht, it could increase to 15, 20 in the future in exchange for a longer period of bootstrapping. And also, I think the bigger round, A, B, C, D, E, so on, would get a lot bigger, driven by the global financial wave. And an interesting trend that could be also a bane or a boon to the industry as a whole is one thing. We also noticed that a lot of corporates have excess cash. Yeah, and once they have excess cash, we believe that a lot of corporates are going to start to establish corporate venture capital arm to invest into startups. So that's a good thing. A lot of money will be poured into the system. But also, once they have a lot of money, a lot of corporates start to invest more in a more like a technology unit or a venture building unit of their own. And I think what's going to happen is there'll be a more competitive competing for talents, especially the tech talent in Thailand, which could cause them slow down in terms of regular startups, because now they have to compete for talents against the bigger corporates with much bigger fundings. Yeah. Also, in the longer term, I think one thing that's going to drive more interest into investment in Thailand is, I believe in around 3 years, we're going to start seeing startup going IPOs on the stock exchange of Thailand, 3 to 4 years. I think we'll start seeing a wave of that. And I think that's the beginning. I think we'll see a lot more in years after 3 or 4 years. We'll see a lot more in the years after. And once that happens, I think that'll be the start of the new wave of startup creation, right? Because when now people can see that you have a potential real exit in terms of money making. So now a lot of people may consider or be braver into quitting their job and start companies. Also, investors, from investor perspective, we may also see that a higher potential of return can be achieved. One startup can get listed on a stock exchange of Thailand or somewhere else. So I think that's a trend. In terms of industry selection, I think we will see a lot more into the theme similar to fintech, especially in the financial ubiquity, where everyone in Thailand can have similar access or basic access to all financial service needed. We'll see a lot more in e-entertainment, online entertainment platform. Cryptocurrencies, of course, it's gonna keep going up since the trend is going there. And I think we'll see new type of commerce coming into Thailand soon, especially there may be a revolution or a big change in the traditional brick and mortar commerce business, a mom and pop shop in the past that has not been touched for the past 10 years. I think we start seeing a lot of startups going to and try to solve that problem, which is one of the biggest problems in the commerce system in Thailand.
Okay, many things gonna happen in Thailand is in the next year. The 10 you mentioned that they're quite interesting. The seed funding, the fund size, the ABC as well, is gonna be bigger than the last year, right? And the corporate, actually we can see the large corporate in the stock market also have the exit fund and just set up the venture capital together with the well-known VC from US, right? Actually, that's good sign, and I think many the large corporates gonna be follow that trend as well, and that's a good news for the Thai startup as well for the IPO. Actually, so many Thai startup also develop themselves and start for the IP filing right now, and they're gonna have the trend and to be the IPOs in next about 2 years. I think so many it is a good the exit for the Thai startup, because in the past we gonna have the exit from just acquires and like
M&A, yep.
Yeah, M&A, right? And so the IPO is gonna be new type of them. That's good. And okay, the industry that interesting for the investor to invest in is gonna be fintechs. You can actually we can see the movement, the change for the fintech. Like many regulation, the players and so on, also the cryptocurrency as well. And entertainment, it's quite new thing for the Thais as well. And the new type of commerce. Many sector, many industry is gonna be happen more, because in the past it not yet have, and this thing is a peak one. So what do you think? I would like to ask Mr. Pataraporn about what do you think about the startup for that's mentioned about the sector, mentioned about the fund size, or the startup we're gonna have the big movement in Thailand, also in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I think my point of view is pretty aligned with Kun Saran in terms of what's gonna be what's gonna be coming in 2022. I think from my point of view, like as Kun Saran mentioned, all that industry and all the industry along the supply chain of all those industry will be what is needed in terms of the supporting the massive market growth in the coming year. I think from I would say my point of concern, which has already been facing in the startup industry, is the shortage of human resource and human capital. So we would see, because there's a lot of money pouring into investing in technology, at the same time, we would see a shortage of human capital or human resource in terms of engineering and even specialized business executives and specialized business skills that are needed to scale these kind of startup. So I think this is a great opportunity for talents outside of Thailand as well to to explore the opportunity inside of Thailand. Apart from that, from the shortage of human manpower, I think a lot of the startups will be changing the way they work a lot more. And because, as Kun Saran mentioned, bootstrapping will be much longer, meaning that startups will need to be much more tactical. In the past, we've seen a lot of startups, come up, announce themselves, expose themselves, and never come out with a product, or even coming out with a product that no one used. So I think these kind of startup will be more neglectable by the market, and people will move towards more looking into startups that actually are having traction. Apart from that, startups, it's good that to be in a very a hyper growth kind of scale market, but also at the same time, startups will also need to be aware of the multiple factors that affect them apart from human capital that they need to scale their startup. But they also will be in a market competing with much more established startups or corporates or businesses. I would imagine seeing another round of disruption to existing businesses like Mr. Saran mentioned, where commerce will be changed. I would imagine like a lot of those will be happening, but not just in a local scale where the industry or the business in Thailand is adapting to a Thai tool, but more or less at a global scale where international companies are actually doing marketing and attracting the business in Thailand to use their service. So I think this would be a threat to startups that only view the market as a local market, and viewing the market as a market that has its own language, has its own culture and its own behavior. But forgetting that the world has the digital landscape has already transitioned to a global digital landscape, and not being aware of the competitors around the globe that can attract the market. Yep. So overall I guess difficulty of doing startup I think will be much more difficult, but those that come through will get much more funding and get much more opportunity down the line in 2022.
Okay, thank you, Viraj. Do you think that even the next year is the 2022 is startup might tough and difficult for the run business, right? And actually, we even in Thailand we face about the human resource shortage a long time, right? And actually, for the hyper growth for the startup is not yet happen much more in Thai market. And but we're gonna fight on the global scales, so that have to be concerned for the startup have to be run business, right? And for the points of the human resource development, actually I know that the BOI also have the fund, cooperative net fund, and they might allocation for the human resource development as well. And I would like to ask more about this one, and maybe Kun Siripan might have the question and answer for this one.
Okay, so after hearing from like Kun Saran and Kun Prapon, I think the government side is quite a bit slow. I think a bit slow in like adapting and changing ourselves, incorporate with the startup situation now. However, as Kun Parivat said, BOI is working on the issue of the human resource hardly, because we recognize that this is the main factors of the startup business in especially for Thai startups. So as Kun Parivat said, let me explain like what will happen next, like from now on. So there are 3 or 4 things that will be happen from now on. The first one, as Kun Parivat said, we are working closely with NIA and other government agencies, and also I think the TVCA, and also some startup association, that we will have a grant for like to subsidize the startup for like the employment. I think within this year, I think maybe around like the last month of this year, we will officially announce this grant. So we will have the activity or the event on, I think, on the beginning of December to have the like what called the pitching event for the startup. We start with the BCG startup first, in order to screen or find like a pre-screen stage for the startup who can have the chance to get the grant from the competitiveness fund. This grant will subsidize the payroll of the technical guys and management guys in the startup companies. So we will have around like we will have the budget around not more than 5 million baht per startup, and we will subsidize around not more than 50% of the payroll of the technology and management guys of the startup, and for each person will not be subsidized not more than like 100,000 baht per person per month. And the time that we will subsidize around not more than 2 years. So we think it would help startup to be more competitive in the market, and also our target startup should be the startup that get the seed fund from VC or CVC not less than 5 million baht first, because this condition will screen the very early stage startup. We screen out some early stage startup. We want to give this grant to the startup who can be a bit stronger, or can not just only the very idea stage startup. So we think that this might help the startup, and this will fill the gap that currently no government grants that give this kind of subsidies to the startup. This should be fulfill some gaps for the startup. And also not just only the grant that we will have, we are working closely with other agencies in order to create the new type of the smart visa called the digital nomad, or maybe digital freelancer. Our objective is that we want to make Thailand as the digital talent hub in this region. As you might know that Bangkok is the best city for the vacation, and also Phuket is ranked number 10. And also you might heard that Chiang Mai is another province that is very attractive for the talent to work here in Thailand. So we're still working on this issue. There's some issue about the foreign business license, but we're still working on this issue and try to figure out how to make it happen soon. And another measure or activity that we are working on is to work with the international partner in order to make Thailand as a startup landing location. I think last month we have the small group discussion with the Enterprise Singapore about like how to cooperate between two countries in order to get the partnership between Singapore and Thailand in terms of startup. So we try to find a way to work together in order to support the Thai startup to cooperate or to work with international startup also, in order to bring the Thai startup to the international level. But this is still under like a discussion also. But as mentioned, we try very hard to make the ecosystem of the startup in Thailand to be more competitive. And also we have a vision that we need to bring the Thai startup to be in the international level. I think that's all for BOI. But okay, just think just pop up in my mind. Just have a maybe I think it's a good news for Thai startup. This year we get many contacts from the many hyperscale cloud service that want to plan or have a plan to invest in Thailand. So this would be the opportunity for the Thai startup to have the chance to use the cloud service from the very the global level standard. So currently I heard there are some that already located in Thailand, the cloud service provider, but there are still so many big name players to come here. So I think it should be the trend. I think that the Thailand currently is the hot location for cloud service provider, as you might know that like the electricity in Singapore is quite full, and also the location. That's why they have a plan to move here. And also about because the market of the Thailand in terms of the digital use and transformation increased a lot. So Thailand would be the next target for them also. That's all that I just want to inform you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Silapan. As our discussed about the next change after COVID-19, we might facing about the change a bit from the last year, but it's a good sign from the investor point of view. The fund size is gonna be bigger, right? And the large corporate is gonna be the active, the important player is gonna be inject the money here in the fund. And we might see the IPO, the startup in about next year or maybe next 2 years. And many emerging industry is going to be the good side for the Thai ecosystem as well. And it's going to be extended for the Southeast Asia. But we also have some struggle about the human resource shortage, especially for the startup who like to go further. And they also need the specialist in the particular issue, right? But we're gonna have some, actually not necessarily the BOI. BOI also have the scheme and privilege and benefit for the support for the development human resource, right? But actually it's not just only BOI. They also have many government agency, and they would like to help for the develop solve the problem for the shortage, this one. And the good things about the technology provider, they also would like to invest more in Thailand, and that's good side for we can work very closely together with the technology provider, the Thai startup or maybe foreign startup. Their location here in Thailand is might the good thing. Actually, I think it's a good sign for the Thai startup in next year, and maybe foreign startup they would like to set up here, be set in Thailand, and we expand to South Asia. I would like to let the other allow for add something more if you have something, right? Mr. Salan, can we add more about this one with a short brief about this?
Okay, so it will depend on the audience, but if the audience is someone who is also thinking about starting a company, especially if you're in the earlier age, what I would highly recommend, especially with what I mentioned, that bootstrapping would take longer. So I'll say maybe think twice before you start something, because in general, when you start something and it takes longer to achieve funding, even if you achieve one, it's going to run into your personal saving. And before you go into there, start thinking whether your personal saving is enough to sustain your quality of living for at least a couple of years. Otherwise, you're going to be in a gap, like where you have to decide whether you want to continue with the company or go back to your regular job, and it's going to impact everyone else who will also work in your company. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pratapon.
Yeah, I think like the difficulty of doing startup is gonna get harder. So in that case, multiple things you need to think about. Apart from capital, like Mr. Saran mentioned, you also need to think about human capital, where you're gonna find the people who will be working with you, and also the opportunity in the market. I think like I said, like you should be more tactical, and being more tactical means that you should check off a big list before you actually explore doing something and spending months at it, and finding yourself that you're building something that's not responding to the market right now. So I think you know what we're trying to theme is the word cautious. I think would be the right word. And with the current state of the market right now, there are also a lot of opportunities with corporate, with bigger startups, with more established startups that will give you the kind of like the good understanding and good head start into how these companies are run, and how these companies are scaling their business and growing their business, and what are they focusing on that they got to a point where there are big startup already. So I think those are all good opportunities to explore during this time. And because we like Kun Saran also mentioned before, we have a lot of well-established startup already. So these are probably like much of the interesting startup that you can explore your opportunity with before actually heading to do your own startup.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last one, Mr. Silapan, do you have something add on more?
First of all, after all, I mentioned much about the foreign investor or startup, but please be reminded that as a Thai government, we still promote and try to promote and support Thai startup also, and also what we expect, or we hope that we try to make the Thai startup stronger, even though we are a bit slower than the private sector, but please be sure that we are still working hard in order to support you, not just only BOI, but as a government. And also, like, please, especially for BOI, if you have like any requirement or any requests, any problems, please let us know. We try to improve ourselves all the time. Just want to mention that we just changed our like the promoting policy for digital companies. So we try to make it more flexible, and also try to make it more easier for the startup to get the promotion, especially for the Thai startups. So even we change, we still hope that if you have any question or inquiry, just let us know. And our goal is still to support Thai startup, and also we still welcome the foreign startup who want to invest or to be here in Thailand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for our panelists today that we have gained more insights about the change, the startup ecosystem after COVID-19. And I would like to thank you for Mr. Saran Sutanti Warakun, President of Thai Venture Capital Association, Mr. Pataraporn Posuwan, President of Thai Startup Trade Association, and the last one, Mr. Silapan Yongwathananan, Investment Promotion Officer, Professional Levels from BOI. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณค่ะ Well, thank you for Pariwatนะคะ. There's no doubt that in the present situation, it has taught the entrepreneurs and governments to seek the opportunities to survive in the new norm. So when the NIA and the Thai Venture Capital Association and Thai Startup Trade Association, also the Board of Investment, they offer us their insight into the Thai startup landscape after the COVID-19 pandemic, and also the trend and like the new wave of the creation, also the shortage of the human capital for the startup to scaling up their size of the business. And also thank you for the good recommendation for the entrepreneur to start the business in this new trend. And for the next roundtable, it is a pleasure to have the president of T-Ban and also the board member of T-Ban to introduce themselves and share their contribution to this ecosystem as an angel investors. I would like to invite Kun Nathasak, Nathasak Rajanapishet, a board member of T-Ban, managing director at DigiWealth Company, also independent board member of CIMB Bank, and also our moderator for the second roundtable today with us. Good evening, Kun Nathasak.
Good evening. Thank
Good
you.
evening,
Thank you very much, Kun Boom. And good evening, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. Sawadee krap. First of all, I would like to thank you, WBAF, for giving us the opportunity to be here with all of you today. Perhaps let me introduce myself. My name is Nathasak Rajanapishet. And with me, I have the president of Thailand Business Angel Network, Kun Sumet Laksitanon, and also another board member, Dr. Kun Sap Amnoi, with us this evening. So it's really a great pleasure for us to be here with all of you. Now, I'm quite sure that a lot of you probably enjoy Thai food, and probably some of you may have come to Thailand. But perhaps what I'd like to do is to give you a little bit of an information about Thailand, just to frame the conversation as we move forward. Okay. Now, in fact, if you look at Thailand, Thailand is a gateway to Indochina. And a lot of the companies that wanted to expand the business into Indochina, which is Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, they tend to set up an office in Thailand. And if you look at that region as a whole, you know, we have over 661 million people. In Thailand alone, we have about 70 million people. And the growth here in Thailand is actually quite good. You know, over the last few years, we've been continually growing our economy. We have a very stable government. We have a lot of foreign investment and a lot of innovation and startup economy. And in fact, I think with the previous round, you probably have heard a number of panelists that came up and that talks about the startup community. But more than that, because we are gateway to Indochina, it means that we also have access to you know, the other country as well. I mean, understanding their landscape, understanding about their startup community and all of that. And in many ways, looking at doing a business in Thailand is quite easy. And the government has a really good initiative to support the startup, to support people to invest in Thailand. So I think that actually poses a really good opportunity. But perhaps what I also like to suggest to you and to tell you a little bit more is about the startup community and the ecosystems here in Thailand. In fact, next slide, please. In fact, we do have a number of unicorns. We have, I think, one of the earliest speaker, Flash Express, is the first unicorn in the logistics side. We have in the fintech side, we have Ascent Money that basically also have an investment that came in from Alibaba or the Ant Financial to support that unicorn. But apart from that, we actually have a lot of larger fundraising activities here in Thailand, such as Pomelo in the fashion e-commerce side. We have e-commerce with a company like A-commerce that raised over $65 million over the last few years. And Omise, which is in the online and offline payment gateway as well. Next slide, please. So in many ways, Thailand actually do have a pretty good ecosystems and a good startup. In fact, last year alone, you know, the total number of Thai startup up to about 664 million, with more than 30 fundraising period of time. And next slide, please. And if you look at the Thai tech startup, it actually covers in a number of industries: logistics, fintech, e-commerce, insurance, insurtech, food technology, property technologies, education technology, and also a lot of growing area like in the healthcare. And in fact, I think we're going to see a lot of startups that actually are raising fund in this particular segment. Next slide, please. Now, what I'd like to do is to turn over to our president, Kun Sumet, to talk a little bit about Thailand Business Angel Network, TBAN, and maybe he can also highlight some of the things that we, from the vision standpoint, the objectives. Over to you, Kun Sumet.
Thank you ครับคุณณัฐศักดิ์สวัสดีครับ My greeting from Bangkok, Thailand. It's really nice to meet you all in this great forum. My name is Sumet. I am the president of Thailand Business Angel Network Association, or TBAN. Today, I'm really pleased to tell you about why and how TBAN is set up in Thailand. As you know, the little opportunity that investor can meet startup is one of the pain points for the startup ecosystem. And also the sharing information, opinion, or cost is a great advantage for any investment to get that benefit and to cope that pain points. TBAN is established. TBAN is a non-profit organization and gonna get approval by Thai government. Most of the TBAN founders are the former classmates of QBAC Plus that set up by WBAC in Thailand. And all of them are the leading businessmen and the experienced investor. Here, let me show you about our current committee and our administration. TBAN administration is divided by function. You can see we have the big group in the academics. We have advisor. We have PR and marketing. We have treasurers and membership. And we have the domestic project development. And the last one, international project development. This should be the key division that can link TBAN to the global business. All of this committee dedicate their time to achieve TBAN missions as follows. Next slide, please. TBAN missions, we have 3 missions. The first one, TBAN gonna enlarge that its network to cover all other parties in the ecosystem in order to provide the best information to support angel investment and also to provide the best solution to the collaboration among the parties in the ecosystem. Second, TBAN gonna educate or gain knowledge for investors, startup, and individual by training, consulting, and mentoring. And the last one, TBAN gonna expand to overseas. We're gonna be the gateway for the both inbound and outbound for the startup transaction. This is our 3 mission. For each detail, is gonna tell you again in the part of what we can do for you in the next section. Finally, I vision and confident that TBAN gonna be the key factor for the Thailand economic development and also the key contact in Thailand for all of other business angel network in the near future. Thank you and see you.
I'm quite sure that all of you who are the angel investors out there probably are asking, well, what can TBAN do to help you? Well, first of all, like what Kun Sumet mentioned earlier, we are the bridge connecting qualified startup business community, both locally and international to you. When I say both locally and international means, from the local perspective, international, as we built up the network of angel investor network across the region here, we will be able to also provide you with some of those information. In addition to that, we'll be looking forward to provide you with the right information at the right time to the investors. Through a sourcing deal, we will have a platform and for the startups to basically present the deal. We also will be, we have the academic team that will work on the screening of the report and selected the startup companies. We will connect the relevant business ecosystems, both the private and public sectors, to the investors. I think in the previous session, you heard a gentleman from Board of Investment that talks about what the government is doing to help in growing the startup community here. And what we can also do is that we work with them, work with BOI, we'll work with other government agencies, and to help you to streamline and make it simpler for you as you wanted to get more information about investing here in Thailand. We will definitely be publishing a regular newsletter on changes and any kind of regulatory that will impact the investors. We will be the main connector for all qualified local investors to you. And we will provide a regular news on major innovative startup or any trends, that relevant to the different industries or any kind of convergence in the industry here. Next slide, please. In addition, next slide. So in addition, we will actually be supporting the startup and the partners. And I think for more detail on the key activities for the startups, let me pass it on to Dr. Punsak, please.
Next slide.
I think you forget to open your microphone.
Can you hear me? Okay.
All right. Okay. I can come back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I think we enjoyed a lot of information since today. My name is Dr. Punsak Amnovipat. I'm a board of the TBAN or Thai Business Angel Network Association. As you know that the Thai Angel Association has three main objectives. The first one is we support the startup to help him to become the successful company. The second one, we support or may prepare all information for the angel investor who are going to be our member or maybe another from another associations. The third one, we try to make a connection to the worldwide or overseas association, just like the BBAF International or even another fundraising company to get a more opportunity for both of our startup and angel investors. So as you know that the many startups in Thailand or even the world has many problems when they start their company. So I would like to give you information about our startup in Thailand for the for the connecting for the part of the connecting of for the part of foreign. I think Dr. Natasha has already mentioned. So come back to the startup. What we give for anything for the startup, as you know that the startup has many problems before become to be the successful company. There has a problem.
Hello, is Dr. Punsak with us?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I think. Okay. Let's come back.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. All right. I don't know what I missed. Okay, so I just come. Okay, I get back to the first time. Okay, so as you know that the T-Ban has a focus on the three main points. The first one, we support the startup companies to become the successful company. The second one, we prepare the many research, many informations for the angel investor, even in Thailand or even foreigner angel investor, to make a good decision to invest in the startup or especially in Thai startup. And we also make a connection to the international networks, just like the BBAF International or another network in the world, to get more opportunity for our startup and also for our angel investor to expand their opportunity to get more investment. So for the international foreigner, I think Dr. Natasha has already mentioned about that, what they get from our T-Ban. So for my part, I will focus on the startup. Okay, I think there's many startup in Thailand or even in the world. They they face to the same problem. Okay, that T-Ban has already realized that they have the many problem about how to prepare the financial projecting report or financial strategies. There are many problem about how to make a marketing strategy. They have many problem about how to prepare or how to do the organization of the team and how to focus on the customer. So all of these pain point, all of these problem that will be realized by our team. And then we think that we need to get involved and give a hand to start up to prepare them pass from the seed point, so early seed point, pass to the seed point and go to the Series A point and send them to the VC or venture capital. So what we provide from the startup, we actually provide many opportunities, just like the academic programs, to help them. Okay, first of all, the startup can be joined in our pitching clubs, in many rounds of pitching clubs. And then our members, our specialists, as Dr. Sumeto, you mentioned the first, we have gathering with many certified members. We will find the weak point of the startups about their marketing strategy, financial strategy, or organization, or any how to marketing plan. And then if a startup would like to join our teams, we provide the academic exercise, academic program to incubate them. We provide the mentoring, we provide the consultation, we provide the coachings to practice them to be the good startup, to provide the good financial projecting report, to plan for the good marketing system, and also to prepare for the pitching strategy to the VC in the next futures. And then when the startup ready, we will get them roll up and provide them to meet the investor, even another angel investor, or even the venture capitals. And also if they're ready, as we have a connection to the BBAF International, or we try to connect for the bigger stage in another country or in the world, we will support them to present their company to the international angel investor as well. Okay, next slide. So when the startup has been past our many pitching round, they will go like elevating pitch, and then our coach will help them to have a very good, powerful talk. I would say that most of startup is a researcher, and they are never. I mean, they has less experience to sales. Okay, so sometimes they cannot sell what they. I believe that the most of startup have very good products. They have very good ideas, but they cannot express their product to the investor. So this is we have a course to help them to express their good products to be to the investor, to the venture capital. And also the very most important things that the VC or most the angel investor would like to see is budgeting or financial project, financial report. And then when the startup pass the pitching time, pass pitching round many times, they will be stronger and stronger. And then if they're ready, we will let them to meet the right VC, the right angel investor, and push them to the Series A and get bigger, and then become the successful startup or unicorn. Next slide. Excuse me. Okay, you see the slide. You can see I'm a little appreciate and also a little happy when we see this slide. You see from 2010 to 2018. The average seed round size is from the less than 2 million to 6 million. It's about 3 times. So in Thailand, I think this shows that the investment from the startup in Thailand is increasing every 3 times from 9 years before. So it is a good opportunity for most of startup to come to join our team, and also if they have very good products, I believe that they will get a very good venture capital or very good angel investor to invest, and also they will become a good successful company. Okay, next slide. So for T-Ban, we not only the assistant, but we also the angel investor as well. In our team, most of the member is a investor. They are investor as well. So the startup who come from in the pre-seed stage to our T-Ban pitching ground, and then they will incubated in our academic process to pass to the system, and also they will pass to the post-seed. So in this time, our member who is the angel investor will invest in their company as well. And if the startup company has a very good products and very good governance, I think most of angel investors will be keep that investment until their success. But if some angel investor would like to exist, so they can exist in the post-seed time or before go to the Series A. So next slide, please. So since our T-Ban has been established in the early of these years, we have about 43 companies. We have 43 startups to join our pitching round. We have many kinds of the sector of the business sector, just like architect, robotic, assistive technique device, business solution, digital technique, crypto, and also energy management, retail, food technique, and also cosmetic, pharmaceutical, health and wellness, innovative home, office equipment, and tourism. I'm very surprised when I was the commentator in the pitching clubs. We found that many startup of Thailand, Thai startup has really good idea and have really good products, but they don't have any marketing mind. They don't have too much marketing mind, and it's difficult for them to move on. So I think I realized that this is our mission for the T-Ban, to help them to push to prepare this startup to bigger one, and also go to through the seed state and go to the CDAs. So So if okay, so if you interested in our startup, in Thai startup, I think T-Ban has provided many opportunity for angel investor, for even Thai angel investor or foreign investor to join our pitching clubs as well. And so I think our startup will be very appreciated to see you as well. Okay, so thank you so much for my time, Dr. Natasak. Give back to you, please.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Punsak, for a very comprehensive coverage on what we can do to help the startup. So in a nutshell, we will provide the mentorship, not only on the financial side, but we can also provide mentorship, networking, knowledge, know-how to support the startup. And also, you know, as many of you also start up from overseas, you might want to find a linkage out here. So we can also help to introduce you to the startup here to complete the platform that you have. In addition, you know, as a partners, when I'm talking about partners, I mean, there would be an organizations like T-Ban or International Angel Network that might wanted to expand or wanted to create a linkage out here in Thailand or in China. So what we can do also is to support you, to work with you. There are a number of corporate partners from overseas that also wanted to look at provide services out here. We can also provide you with the platform or the linkage to that. So in many ways, you know, in a nutshell, what T-Ban can do is to basically to help you to complete the dot, your journey, your business journey. You know, whether you are an investor, whether you are a startup, or whether you are looking at to build a partner or extending the partner ecosystems out here. So we're very much looking forward to work with you, and I'm sure that we can really help add a lot of values to whatever the initiative that you have in your own organization or as an investor or as a startup. So thank you so much. In case you wanted to contact us on the next slide, please. This is how you can contact us, you know, with the following email, inter@tban.org. We also have, this is for the international department, and for the information, just to contact us at info@tban.org. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate the opportunity to be here with all of you. Now, I realize that there may be some questions, and in fact, we had some pre-questions that came on. And what I like to do is just to perhaps bring up just a couple of points and ask the board members here to perhaps expand. I think the first questions that we got was, if I want to invest in Thailand and I don't know anything about the country investment conditions, but I like the people, I like the food, I like to travel to Thailand, what do I need to do to get a proper understanding of the market and the conditions to invest? Perhaps I think the first questions I'd like to pass it on to our president, Khun Sumet. Perhaps can you starting off with?
I think for Thailand, I think for the first session in panelists, they already say about the doing business is not in Thailand is not difficult. We have many support, many things to support the new investment in Thailand. And also, if you need a local partner, T-Ban can be the local partner for you. I think this should be the first step for you in Thailand, in my opinion. Anything you can add?
Yes, Dr. Punsak, anything you'd like to add?
Yes, as you know, I would say that our T-Ban association has been prepared. We try to prepare many informations for you. If you would like to invest in startup in Thailand, it's easier to get into our websites. We have a platform, we have information that we prepare for you to find out. We try to prepare many many informations in the many sectors, and also we try to prepare some relevant value to make sure that you can have very good information to make a decision, and also to have a good decision to choose Thai startup. So really, this is a very easy way.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I was just thinking back, you know, when I look into investing in a startup in the US, and I was having a little bit of difficulties trying to understand, you know, the conditions. What do I need to do from legal perspective? What I need to do, you know, in case if I'm a syndicate, for example, and I wanted to invest. And I'm sure that a lot of those questions may be in your mind, you know, as an angel investor. And as an angel investor, and you're coming into the angel investors network, you know, with Tiban, we probably will have the similar mindset like you. So any kind of questions that you may have, you may want it to let us know, and we might be the first contact point for you. At least we can share the information that you need and point you to the right source. Second questions. I am a startup, and I want to see if there's any Thai angel investors who may be interested to invest in my company. What should I do? I think this may be along the line of Dr. Punsak.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sak. Well, as I told you, that Tiban has prepared or set up many pitching route clubs, and I think our member is really appreciate if we can get the foreign startup to join our pitching clubs. And in our pitching clubs, we have many investor, angel investor, not only the member of the association, but as we're gonna have another VC and another funds company to join in the pitching club as well. I think this is a very good opportunity for your foreign startup to present your product and to present your information to the Thai investor. Thanks,
Thank you, Dr. Punsak. In fact, that reminds me. I think a couple of months back, we heard a pitch from an IoT startup from Singapore. No, actually, they have an office in Singapore, but I think they're from Turkey, I think, or one of the other countries. In fact, they have developed a very interesting IoT product that basically is in the agri-tech areas. And they basically came to us, and we provide a platform for them to pitch. We also provide them with some information as well as some advice on how they can actually improve the platform or the product that they have. And some of the concerns, especially if they wanted to take the product and go to market out here. So, you know, in many ways, the value that we can provide is a lot more than just a platform, but with the coaching, with the guidance, with the understanding of the local conditions, we can really help the startup overseas to become successful out here. And in fact, as a startup overseas, you might want it to extend, expand, and also create a linkage with a partner out here, because that would actually help make the platform or the product that you have a lot more complete. And if you have a reference out here in Asia, that would actually go a long way for you when you do fundraising. So I really urge a lot of the startups overseas to look into finding a way to come to Asia, and we can be one of the gateway to help you to be successful out here. Thank you.
Dr. Sak, may I ask something for this question? I think with our network, with the global business angel network around the world, we also can introduce our Thai startup to the overseas angel and investor as well, right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. The platform that we have, because for the Thai startup, what we do provide is through a platform and a network of the WBAF and also the angel investors across the world. And we will actually provide a platform for them, for the Thai startup to extend and expand and find an angel investors out there in other countries, and find the right partner also out there. So thank you, Kusumet, for
that's great. That's great.
Yes. So I'm quite sensitive to the time, and I know that there may be some questions from the audience. If anyone have any questions, you might like to just put into the chat, and I think we may have enough time just for one questions. If not, then you can always send an email across to into the email link that's shown here on the screen. Again, on behalf of the Thailand Business Angel Network, or TBAN, I would like to thank all of you. Thank WBAF to give us the opportunities. I'm sorry. Okay. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here and to present to you. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and sawadee krap.
Thank you. See you again. Bye bye.
Thank you as well, Daddy. Thank you, buddies.
สวัสดีค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you คุณณัฐศักดิ์ the moderator of the last session of ours, and Kun Sumet, the president of TBAN, and Dr. Poonsak, to offer their insight to the roles and the capability of Thailand Business Angel Network to Thailand. And now we have Kun Suvipa with us until the end, that she will give us a close speech and bless you a good night. Welcome Kun Suvipa to the stage.
On behalf of the organizing committee and as a chair of the Thai World Business Angel Investor Week, I would like to take this opportunity to especially thank all of our distinguished speakers and for dedicated your time and share your thought, very fruitful ideas that come up. And also I learned here, and I'm very positive that your commitment in helping us as the whole country driving forward thought the economic recovery would be a success one. So the key takeaway that we all learn from the whole panel session would be as follow. First, startup is the new engine of growth, and we need to help, give hand to nurture and facilitate, especially during the post-pandemic economic recovery. And second, 2022 is going to be a challenging year, but also it's going to be a very exciting year as well, because the new market growth, some of our speakers even mentioned many times that it's the hyper growth market is awaiting for us to explore. And third, BOI provides definitely conducive investment privileges to start up, both tax and non-tax, and never before that we open up this much to attract foreign startup and also technology provider and also digital nomad. So please explore the privileges that Thailand has to offer so that we can all grow together. And fourth, the opportunities in Thailand specifically lie in the fintech, cryptocurrency, new type of commerce, entertainment, and also food tech. And having said that, all the good things, multiple challenges need to be taken into consideration. For example, capital as bootstrapping will be taking longer, and also the human capital shortage. And the last one would be competition, definitely from global. The last point that I would like you all to take away is that partnership is the key. NIA, BOI, Software Park, NASDAQ, T-Ban specifically are the pit stop that you should all go and visit and talk to, so that you can be their partners and also grow your business successfully in a faster and better way. So may I close the event by thank you all the participants who join us in this WBAW Thailand session, and I wish you all the best. สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you.
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you everybody. So have a good night for Thailand and have a good evening for the other countries, or maybe good afternoon. But I would like to close this event as well by thanking all of you for your participation, for sharing ideas, for your willingness to walk alongside with us, and together we can move forward. But thank you very much.